Rimuru is cooked. Everything about Tempest joining the Western Council is a lie. Because this entire diplomatic mission Rimuru has been on is actually a massive plan to finally take control over his mind and kill him. Yup, that's right. Even Tempest signing the favorable trade deal with the West is a farce, all orchestrated by one of the smartest characters in the Central World whose power can rival the Demon Lords. I am talking about Mariabell Rozzo. And so, in this video, let me break down the dark secret plot behind what's happening on the Tensura anime, because with the context of the novels, things are way more big brain 300 IQ than you can even imagine. You know, all those meeting episodes weren't there for nothing, and I know for a fact you guys were not paying attention until bro flipped that table. But the origins of that table flip have been budding since the festival in season 3. Rimuru hosted the Great Tempest Festival for a few reasons. His public debut as a demon lord and member of the Octagram, efficiently meeting with the different tribes and nations leaders. But the most important one was to do with solving the labor shortage crisis, as Tempest's rapidly expanding infrastructure and businesses needed more manpower. So the festival was an ad campaign to attract monsters or humans to move permanently to his nation, but also an ad of Tempest being a tourist and economic hub. This last point is what Mariabell Rozzo and the Western upper classes disliked the most. She witnessed firsthand Tempest's advanced culture, innovative science, and gourmet food, recognizing the aroma of culture from her previous life on Earth during the 19th and 20th century. Through her unique skill avarice, Maribel realized the city was brimming with desires and was destined to become the cutting edge of global trends, shaping a new age for the entire world, not influenced by her. While other world leaders like the Eastern Emperor Rudra view world domination as Nazca taking over the country's territories physically, Maribel likes to play this game from the shadows, using trade, economic warfare, and even debt as her choice of weapons to reshape the Central World. That's what she did in our world before being reincarnated, but we're not gonna get into that. This video is gonna demonetize. In fact, in just 10 years of living as a Rozzo, she had gained control of the Western nations and the Council. But if Tempest, with its advanced healing potions, magic trains, food, music, were allowed to make its way through the world, the Rozzos would lose their stranglehold over the West. So Maribel feared Tempest joining the Council of the West and spreading its own values, which would result in a totally peaceful coup, as she mentions in Volume 10. Maribel firmly believed that the world could only have one absolute ruler, making her and Rimuru entirely incompatible at their core. Especially since the patriarch of the Rozzos, Granville, views the monster's influence over the West as basically a no-go. According to him, humanity must stay out on top against the monsters, rejecting Rimuru and Tempest's ideals of monster and human cohabitation. According to Maribel's reasoning for why this is a bad idea, it's because a demon lord's lifespan is so much longer than a human's short-lived one. They could always change their stripes, and while humans may come and go, Maribel absolutely refused to expect human values from such long-lived rulers. Isn't that kind of hypocritical though? Because Granville Rozzo, he's like 1,000 years old, and from like everything I've seen in Tensura, it almost feels like the more long-lived creatures are the most samey. Like, they don't change much, you know? That's why Rimuru coming to the Central World was such a world-shaking event. Chaos Creator. So Anyway, but between you and me, she just wants the world for herself. Granville might believe this, but Maribel is kind of using this argument to divide the humans like Johan against Rimuru. Luckily, after observing Rimuru up close at the banquet, Maribel noticed that his personal desires were actually surprisingly small because his ambitions were relatively modest. So she concluded that she could easily take over his mind using her unique skill Avarice in just a few sessions. And so she sent an invite to our slime for some rage baiting and brainwashing trials at the council. As soon as Rimuru shows up in Inglesia's council hall, there is a division of desire between richer nations' counselors and the smaller ones, who instantly start glazing our boy and his nation, while the bigger fish have a lot of pride and can't get rid of their racist tendencies towards the monster nation. Like, this dude was like, is us being assholes too confusing for your monster bum brain to understand? But he was about to teach Rimuru noble manners. And then in the same conversation, they try to basically steal Tempest tech. Either way, the disrespect doesn't stop there, as the meeting to allow Tempest into the Western Council begins, and we learn what Tempest must accept to join the Western states. They must follow international law. That seems basic. There must be free trade between all countries, but this might pose an issue since how far ahead Tempest tech is now. Like, one of these bozo countries, yeah, they could just start building the magic trains tracks themselves after watching Tempest build it in their nation. And instantly, that guy starts asking to give a priority for all rail construction projects to his nation. Not because he's being kind, but so bro can steal the tech. The other nations start jockeying for higher degree of favor with Tempest as well. Ultimately though, as Rimuru ascertains, this showcase isn't a compliment, but rather seeing Tempest as a Candyman nation, not a business transaction but equals. The third rule is providing military support. All the nations will give Rimuru money so that he can protect them, especially against the Eastern Empire threat. Rimuru's main concerns are to do with how Tempest will be treated as a trade ally, and when he adds his amendments to the agreement, the Western Council says, no. Nah, that shit. They rip it to shreds, bro. Instead, returning with a piece of paper which was so strong that after nearly a whole season of meetings, Rimuru started a fight with a table. They should have handed him that paper like 5 episodes ago, bro. If we were gonna get this was all part of Maribel's plan, by the way. Even Rimuru falling for the rage bait was all according to her plan. And so what was in that paper? Well, they asked Tempest to pay for the train line to Inglatia. Tempest has to give West high-tier equipment. The most insane one, of course, was that all the treasure found in the dungeon is supposed to be humanity's, meaning the council will be joining the management team for the dungeon. This is beyond messed up, as the riches of the dungeon is due to Veldora's magicules, while the dungeon itself is being powered by Ramirez. It makes no sense for the West to have any claim to the profits. Like, Masayuki has more claim to the profits because he helped come up with the tutorial section in the bottom. Tempest also has to pay an annual fee to stay a member, while other human nations don't. It's basically a monster tax. If that wasn't belittling enough, only humans are eligible to be ambassadors to the council from Tempest's side. To Rimuru, this sounds more like the council saying that they want to enslave Tempest. That's why the table flip was necessary. This show of aura also allowed Raphael to confirm the presence of a mental interference affecting the council hall. But due to Rimuru's anger just now, small cracks have started to appear in the control spell. Avarice only influences people. It doesn't have complete control over them like Michael's Regalia Dominion. After all, currently it's just an unique skill, not ultimate. Rimuru easily removes the spell from the minds of the counselors. Instantly, they start agreeing with how absurd the demands for the memberships are. But the troubles for Rimuru were not over, as Lord Gaban of Ingratia has summoned the Goon Squad to deal with a demon lord. With Rimuru's defeat, they will have control over Veldora and a demon lord. It's easy peasy. Hey, bro, why didn't we think of this earlier? Why didn't Luminous think of this earlier? Especially since Guy Crimson is on their side, bro. Do you guys see that? Hold on, wait a minute.
From here? Can you enhance him right here? Can you enhance?
That's not... Hold on. Yo, that's not Guy Crimson. That's Guy Crimson from Temu. Yo, they got scammed. All of them are led by Prince Elric of Ingratia. Hinata, the only person in this room with a lick of knowledge regards to just how busted Rimuru is, steps up to defuse the situation. She says that although an outside observer, she can't sit back and let the will of the council be overturned by the will of Gaban and Elric. However, these guys are too high on their supply, especially getting a nudge from Maribel's avarice. Prince Elric starts giving a speech asking for the counselors who agree with the fight against Rimuru to stand up and give their vote, and much of the poorer nations do. Why? Well, because of bribes. However, even with that, this dude Elric lost the vote. He was so sure he had bought the council, he didn't even look to count. Bro already had the Orb of Domination bracelet out for Rimuru to wear. Bro, even with that, like, our slime is so strong now that it would have zero effect on him. Come on, let's be real. However, things get worse for Elric, cause probably controlled through avarice, loudmouth Gaban threatens out loud that if the countries don't stand up, the aid, or basically bribes that were promised by the larger nation, will all be withdrawn. Rimuru, who got the info about these bribes from Soe, speaks up, revealing all the evidence of corruption against Gaban and Elric, completely destroying their standing in front of the council. However, they think that if Elric and his goon squad can beat Rimuru, all will be solved. First steps of Reiner, the mightiest knight of Ingratia, who just a second ago was trash-talking Hinata, saying that she couldn't even beat Rimuru, so she should go back to the kitchen and let the big boys handle the demon lord. He says this while pulling her face up like, bro, she was fighting Veldora a few weeks ago. You can't even be in the same room, same table as her. So Hinata decides to take care of this insect. From Hinata's perspective, her standing within the council, or her role as a knight of Lubelius, doesn't really come into consideration while choosing to act here, because the person she truly answers to is Luminous, who is friends with Rimuru through their 100-year peace pact. Plus, she herself is on very friendly terms with Rimuru, who inherited her master Shizu's will. This guy, Reiner, is so gross, he starts salivating and calling Hinata his girl before the fight. In fact, this isn't the only gross behavior, as Gaban says that he wants a piece of Rimuru's tight ass himself. Yo, no way! They actually animated that. I am shocked. Things turn out as everyone expected. Hinata utterly humiliates Reiner, the strongest knight of Ingratia. Like, she doesn't even take her sword out. In one simple trip, he starts begging for his life. Bro is not even making it past floor 40. Like, calm down. Meanwhile, Guy Crimson from Temu starts showing off his brand new holy sword, which he probably also got from Temu, and challenges Rimuru. But to fight the demon lord, you must clear the dungeon. So instead, Shuna wants to step up to the battle. This was actually so cool to watch in the anime, as she starts using her fan as a weapon to fight against this bozo. Like, it reminded me of Where Winds Meet, where I was using my Panacea fan to heal. However, this fan isn't just for healing, as a simple tap breaks the holy sword from Temu. There was nothing holy about it. It was just a piece of trash. Dude, Shuna isn't even moving in this fight. Like, it's a child's play in the anime, and she isn't even considered a fighter in Tempest. Neither does she join one of the lordly guardians later on. This is Rimuru's secretary. Imagine the result if Benimaru had stepped up. You just need to, like, release his aura and boom, Conqueror's Haki, everyone down. Finally, she shows off her true strength, a freaking disintegration spell. Only people people like Luminous are supposed to be able to wield this, bro. It's the absolute pinnacle of holy magic. This spell can kill 99.9% of people and beings in Tensura if it lands, as it erases the target from existence. Like, not just your body is gone, but also your spiritual and astral bodies are evaporated. You either need to have an ultimate skill that counters it, have multi-dimensional barrier, or have control over spiritrons to survive. This is the same attack that could have bodied Rimuru in his first fight against Hinata. Yet now, one of his weakest commanders is playing around with such a lethal spell, cause she just disintegrates Guy Temu's clothes, leaving him completely naked. However, before Rimuru could start dealing with Elric, a bullet is fired from across town, targeting not the Demon Lord, but Elric. Through spatial connection, even though the shooter was so far away, it's as if the gun was fired point blank. Luckily, Rimuru and Raphael notice this and he stops the attack, with Beelzebub saving Elric. Even Hinata noticed it too late. The council is shocked that such a small bullet is able to do so much damage, but to Rimuru and Hinata, it's nothing new. One of the plans inside of plans weaved by Maribel was that she was gonna rage bait Rimuru by giving this obscene demands for joining the council. As he loses his cool, the goon squad of Elric would come in and annoy Rimuru even more. So when Glenda Atlee kills Elric with the bullet, all the counselors would suspect the already aggravated Demon Lord. Killing a Prince of Ingratia would further create division amongst Tempest, a monster nation, and the humans of the West, giving Maribel more time to deal against Tempest's influence on the world. Fortunately, Rimuru foiled the plot. Still, things are going Maribel's way, by the way. Like, this girl has insurance for insurance. Like, even though this plan was foiled and Elric was saved, Maribel still won in another way. One of the main rival nations for the Rozzo family in the West is the Kingdom of Ingratia. So, with their crown prince showcasing all his foolishness in front of the world, it could destabilize the country in time of succession. Furthermore, this event brought out the Magic Inquisitors of Ingratia alongside their king to arrest Gabon and scold his son. The Magic Inquisitors are actually the strong force for Ingratia, as they are humans who absorbed a monster and turned into magic points. We saw how strong Majins like Laplace and Footman were, right? These guys weren't the type to be trifled with. And Maribel bringing them out here allowed her to learn more about the fighting force of her biggest rival in the West. Tempest is finally allowed into the Council of the West, giving Maribel even more time to poison Rimuru with her avarice control and make use of her other insurance plan to use the Chaos Dragon core. However, I will talk about all of that in the next episode breakdown, including Glenda Atlee's investigation. I've been doing these episode reactions like weekly on Fridays, and you guys had like so many questions on the last one and even this week's, so I just decided I should probably just do a breakdown explaining what is happening in the episodes and even add a few things from the novel to give you guys a better context. Also, like, you guys smashed it on the Eastern Empire video with the 25,000 likes, so you know, let's try to get this video to at least 10k likes, and I'll continue doing these episode breakdowns because it really hypes me up and makes me want to make more slime videos when I see all the likes and support. Thank you so much, everyone.